On today's show, we welcome Andrei Daescu, one of the most dominant doubles and mixed doubles players on the PPA Tour. Originally from Bucharest, Romania, Andrei played college tennis on a scholarship at the University of Oklahoma. Graduated in 2010. He was an All-American his senior year. He played pro tennis for 5 years, achieving a career-high ATP ranking of 120. He also represented his native country, Romania, in Davis Cup. That's phenomenal. Today, he's a 2025 MLP champion with the Columbus Sliders and currently sits number 3 in men's doubles on the PPA Tour. Andrei, welcome to the show. We're excited to have you.
Rick, thanks for having me. You're a veteran of the game. I've known you for a while, so just super excited for what's ahead.
Yeah. I do follow your career, and while we were once competitors, you are now just kicking butt, and I really am proud of what you've done, and you're, a very similar path, tennis to pickleball guy like myself. I want to kind of start with you in Romania because we really haven't had a chance to chat with the very beginning. Were you into tennis from the very beginning in Romania, and what age did you start?
Yeah, so I started tennis when I was about 6 years old. I started with a group 3 times a week, just at the local park. Pretty much the same path that everybody's taking. And by the time I got to be 8 or 9, I got pretty serious with it. Started playing it every day. And then by the time I was 10 or 11, I was already competing in a bunch of national tournaments. 12 years old is when I started kind of traveling a little bit around Europe and playing some of the international tournaments around there, some of the European championships and all the leagues that they have around Europe. I think for tennis, Europe has a great system for juniors and low level pros to be able to kind of break the ice and make it to the top of the game. So I kind of followed that path through my teenage years, graduated high school. And then I got recruited to play college tennis at the University of Oklahoma. I had a couple of XP points. I think I was right outside of the top 1,000 in the world. Played some futures like everybody else did. So I was on the radar for some of the schools in the U.S. and ended up picking Oklahoma, which is a great choice long term for my tennis career and life.
Awesome. That's awesome. I was on a podcast recently and I was asked about my tennis and obviously, with Ben, and what I really lean into is what I think is behaviors that are really important for parents. And I'm kind of curious because we haven't spoken on this side of your life. What was the parental influence to your tennis journey from your parents' side?
So my dad was an athlete himself. He was a basketball player. Played in Romania for I think over 10 years in the national league over there, and he definitely pushed myself and my brother in the right direction, but he didn't really overdo it. He wanted us to play one sport and kind of give it all the effort that we had for that sport. He didn't really pick the sport for us. We picked the sport ourselves, and that's all he really demanded was that when we do go out there, whether it's practice, whether it's a match, whether it's a conditioning session, whatever we're doing, we had to give it our all. And he was always very demanding in terms of that regard. But it wasn't a ton of pressure on winning or losing. It wasn't so much results oriented, especially as a junior. I was lucky. My dad understood the process and realized that it doesn't really matter how well you do as a junior. The paychecks start to come in when you start to play on the Challenger Tour, and obviously the ATP Tour is where the real paychecks start to come in. So as a junior, it's more important about developing as a player, learning from those experiences, tournaments, traveling, everything that goes with it, and just forming myself as a player for later on when you really matter. And you have a tennis background yourself. Obviously, you're close to Ben as well. You know that, especially in men's tennis, the junior tennis doesn't really have a lot to do with the pro tennis at the highest level, because when you're younger, until you're about 16, 17, you can't really put the ball away to other people, and your serve is not that big, and obviously your forehand you can't really go through guys, and it's a lot more about rallying and keeping the ball in, and it's more a game of not making a mistake where he goes to the pros. And when you talk to the top 100 in the world, for the most part, it's a game of striking first and having enough offense to go to people. So like I said, I was lucky enough to have my dad understand that, look, it's more about the process than the results. And that helped for sure. I did find it at times when I put a ton of pressure on myself for no reason. But this is something I think every athlete learns through that process of coming through the juniors, and even as a young professional, you learn to kind of, when to put some pressure on yourself, when to give yourself some slack, and that kind of stuff to keep yourself mentally on the right line and balance, so you can perform at your best.
Yeah, you said that succinctly, process versus results. And that's so it's almost cliche, but so important for anybody listening, whether you're the player or the parent. Process over results is really what's going to help a player reach their potential. I'm really glad you said that. And Andre, as we think about your tennis journey, then into your pickleball, would you say that the mental or the physical of your tennis journey helped your pickleball the most, or were they both equally important from what you learned from tennis to take to pickleball?
It's hard to really pick it. I think I would say they're both equally important. Obviously, having a good body, good athletic body with some good speed to it, and that can do a lot of good things, helps you transition into pickleball much easier and pick up the pickleball skills and fine tune those pickable skills that you don't really have or go through in the tennis world. But at the same time, having a pro career in a different sport and playing at a high collegiate level as well definitely helps with the mental aspect of the game as well, because you learn to handle the pressure better. You learn to prepare yourself mentally better. You learn a lot more about the grind of the day in, day out process, traveling, practicing, playing, your body's beat up, you're burn out at the end of the seasons, and then all that kind of stuff that comes with professional sports. Is nice to have a little bit of a learning experience in a different sport before that. So yeah, it's hard to pick one over the other, but I think they both help. I think when you transition from tennis to pickleball, the body is pretty much ready to go for singles. I think you have to make some small adjustments physically for your body when it comes to doubles. There's a couple of different things that you don't really do in tennis that you do in pickleball, and vice versa. So that is, but it's nice to have that huge base, from going from tennis to pickleball, to where you already have the explosiveness, you already have the footwork patterns, your hand-eye coordination is there. A lot of the hand skills are fairly similar. And then from a mental standpoint, yes, pickleball is somewhat similar because of the tour aspect, just like the tennis tour. You're a traveling circus going from different cities and now even countries with pickleball, the different places to play. But you're mostly competing on your own, even though you might be playing doubles or mixed doubles. You kind of get to pick your partners, and your partners get to pick you. It's a little bit different than, let's say, traveling for, I don't know, baseball or football. You're traveling with 50, 60 guys, and yeah, so I think that helped. The nice thing about the pickleball tours, they have the Major League Pickleball, which I think it's a nice little curveball there. For a couple of months, you get to compete as a team, and that makes it a lot more fun, especially for someone like me who's played some college tennis, and it's just nice to change up the dynamics a little bit and throw in some of those team dynamics and travel with the team for a little while over there and get to spend some time with them. But the big chunk, obviously, 7-8 months, I think it is. It's just you on the tour and how you deal with that yourself.
You talked about your body, and I feel like we're about the same height. Are you 6'3"?
6'4",
6'4"?
6'4". Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
would you say that that's your preference for a body of a pickleball player, as being tall and lanky compared to a little shorter and super quick?
It, look, at the pro level, a lot of the game is played down at the feet and around the kitchen. So, my length definitely helps, I think, to start the point, because I can reach in there and make transition pretty difficult for the other team. And I think it starts to hurt once the point gets neutralized at the kitchen, because as a 6'4" guy, you know very well that it's much harder to get down to the ground and play this ball. So the nice thing about it, just like I guess tennis and some of the other sports as well, is not like a perfect or ideal height. I think you can make different body types work for this game. But yeah, if you look at some of the top guys in the world and pickleball, I think the vast majority of them are a bit shorter in terms of the height. But again, there's more. There's taller and taller players coming into the game, having some success. There's a lot of the guys on the shorter side as well who have done very well. So that's the beauty of the game. You just got to understand what the physical tools are, what you get to deal with, and then kind of perfect those and ride the wave of them. Because you can't really change your height.
Andre, I remember a couple specific situations with you and I. I remember playing you in Atlanta probably 9 years ago.
Yeah,
But I also remember playing next to you in my first senior pro event in Florida. And I believe it was a Pickleplex, but regardless, I remember playing singles and I was like, man, great shot, Andre. And then I hit a run back lob between my legs. Like, good shot, Rick.
yeah,
And it was funny because like I knew I was older than you. I felt like, we both covered the court well in singles. Luckily as a senior pro, I feel like my body's still hanging in there for me to play singles. I like it. I just don't like it at the beginning before doubles and mixed on a weekend.
yeah. Of
But
course.
I don't feel like you play singles as much anymore. Is that kind of a body longevity decision? Because I know you're a good singles player. How do you feel about that?
So I've played obviously a bunch of singles when I was coming up. Um, I think it's just a natural progression. I was still in like my late 20s, early 30s when I was doing it, and my body could take it. I was also not as sharp in terms of men's doubles or mixed doubles, so I was making some of the. I mean, my runs weren't as deep, and I wasn't getting that far into the tournaments in men's doubles and mixed doubles. So my body was taking it just fine. I still train for singles. I enjoy singles to a certain degree. It's just it's a matter of looking after the body. Now I'm obviously in my late 30s as well, so you have to be very careful with the load I put on the body. I do enjoy the game. I enjoy competing, and I would love to play it for as many more years as I can. So I try to be careful with how much load I put onto the body. If I obviously play singles in MLP. The level I feel like is still there. The trouble I have with it, just like you said, I think recovering after a full day of singles and then going to play men's and then going to play mixed, I think it just adds up and it's a lot of wear and tear. And then also, the schedule is not what it used to be 5, 6, 7 years ago when I was playing a lot of singles, because now I'm playing about 30 events a year. And the traveling is definitely changed quite a bit as well. I mean, there were times this summer when I think we played 6 or 7 events in a row. Then we had like 1 week off, and then we played 5 again in a row. So it's kind of hard to play all three like that. And if you're looking at I mean, pretty much everybody at the top of the game, I think with the exception of Federico Staksrud, I think everybody else is kind of looking after the body and managing. Some of them are playing a little bit more singles than others, but they're still not playing full-time singles every tournament in and out and making deep runs, So I think it's just so physical these days. I think it's just so competitive. The guys are so good. And yeah, it's not an easy load on the body. And at 37, I think that's the right call.
Yeah. Well, I know that I'm a co-founder of the National Pickleball League, and we just made some announcements for next year that we're going into the 40 plus category. I don't know if you heard that or not, but we've been typically a 50 plus, and we're going 40 plus and 60 plus into next
Nice.
year.
Nice.
So
That's the right move. Yeah.
yeah, and you're a really fit guy, and I know you take care of your body, and obviously the game's brought a lot of fun and awesome times for you and I. I hope that you getting into your 40s, if you decide to get off the open tour, that you want to come in and play with the older folks that still have a lot of game. Be fun to see you again. But
It's not gonna be my decision. It's yeah, whenever the wave is gonna watch me ashore and those guys are gonna kick my butt, and that's when I'm gonna have to make the switch. But hopefully I can hang out for a little while longer. Yeah.
yeah, well, we don't have singles in the NPL right now. It's definitely been an initiative that I've wanted to kind of move towards, at least in our team breaker, having the singles. But we'll see if I can manage that. I do want to talk about the team function, because in my world, I'm really enjoying the NPL league play. I just finished my season with the Seattle Tsunami, and it was unbelievable. The chemistry vibe's incredible. We just finished 2 days ago. the whole season. And you obviously came off the 2025 MLP Columbus championship. And I want to ask you about that because, to be honest, I don't follow MLP that much, but what I do believe I know is that you guys weren't necessarily predicted to be the top team. And how was that journey cultivating your chemistry and maybe being an underdog?
Yeah, we were the fifth seed going to the playoffs. So obviously not the favorites to win it. But we knew we had a strong team. CJ missed one of our events in Columbus. Unfortunately, you got sick over there and you couldn't play that one. And I think it was about 5 or 6 matches without a starter over there. So that obviously takes a hit when it comes to our team record. But we knew that we're solid. We don't really have any major holes. We knew that if we're all playing well at the right time and the chemistry is there, we can definitely beat anybody in the league. And yeah, it started in San Diego with the first round of playoffs when we got picked by Dallas, who are the champions from last year, and they picked us over obviously some of the other seeds. There were still like the 6th and the 7th seeds available, I think. So that put a chip on our shoulder. That definitely got us motivated. I think it's one of those things where, as a professional athlete, you got to take that a little bit personal and say, hey, look, I mean, let's go out there and prove this guy's wrong and show that we're capable of beating any team in the league. We did beat some of the top teams in the league. We took Dallas to a dream breaker, actually, I think a couple of weeks before that in the regular season in St. Louis. So we knew we're there level wise. Margins are obviously very small at that level of the game, and yeah, we went into it, and it was 3 dream breakers. So we were very closely matched, 2-2 all 3 matches after doubles, and just 3 dream breakers, and we got 2 out of the 3, and upset the champions from the previous year and the second seeds after the regular season, and moved on to New York City. And again, I know a lot of the people weren't picking us to win that matchup or to move on, but we knew we had the level, and the fact that we played them a couple of weeks before so close, it showed that, and we knew we were playing even better at the time of the event, and we were very motivated to prove them wrong. And we got the job done over there, and we beat a team that's got some really, really solid players in there. So that was a good start. And then we moved on to New York City, which is a very, very nice experience. I mean, playing in Central Park, full house there, sold out for all 3 days. Just an incredible atmosphere. The surroundings were obviously great as well, so that made it a lot more fun. That made it super enjoyable for us. We started against the St. Louis Shock, who were the first seed from the regular season, and they made the finals the year before, and they played really well, and they had a very good roster as well. And we were able to sweep those guys and win 2-0 in that matchup, and I think that helped a lot. It kind of saved our bodies a little bit, and gave us a lot of belief that, look, we can really beat anybody out there. We beat the second seed, and we beat the first seed back to back. And then we got to the finals against New Jersey, which is somewhat of the local team. The crowd was pulling for them. They definitely had a lot of people out there supporting them. They have a very strong roster themselves. And we had to go 3 matches as well. We lost game 1, but we knew we've been in that situation before. We knew the margins are small. The team was competing extremely well. The chemistry were there. We're out there looking out for each other and helping each other out, and a lot of good energy on the sidelines, which goes a long way. And we're able to turn that game 2 back around, and even the series. And then game 3 we won 3-1, so we didn't have to go to singles, which is great. And just a lot of fun afterwards. The Columbus pickleball community, it's huge, and it's full of very, very nice people. We did a bunch of events over there. We played one of the MLP events there as well. We did a bunch of clinics, we did a bunch of meet and greets, a lot of the community engagement stuff. And I mean, I can't tell you how nice the people were there, and how tight that community is, and how everybody was so supportive of us, even when we weren't doing that well. So it was just I was just very, very happy that we're able to win the trophy for those guys. And that 2025 Major League Championship is going to stay with Columbus forever. So that's it's fun to know that we've played that role.
That's amazing. I'm from the Midwest, and I'm very aware of the Columbus pickleball community. Jeff and Paul McKnight are the owners of the Columbus Hot Shots in the National Pickleball League. They're phenomenal. My daughter goes to school about 45 minutes from Columbus at Ashland University, and she started a club pickleball team there. So
Nice.
they do some synergy things with the pickleball world in Columbus with her Ashland University. It's a great community. And I have to tell you, CJ Klinger is somebody I knew when he was obviously just getting started as a teenager, and his little gangly body and lefty, and I'm friends with his dad, and just really good people.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say that you were old enough to be his dad while he was playing on your team, but you're significantly older than him. Like, were you a mentor, do you feel like, for him throughout that journey, or how did that evolve your relationship with him?
I wouldn't call him mentor. I mean, I think Darren does a great job of being CJ's mentor and helps him out with all the stuff that goes along being a professional pickleball player. But we definitely we talked a lot about matchups. We talked a lot about our team. We talked a lot about us as a team in men's doubles and how we can do better. CJ is obviously a local legend in the state of Ohio. They love him over there. They love him everywhere, but especially over there. He's a great kid, like you said. He works very hard at his game. I think he's just started to break to the surface. I think he's got a very bright future ahead of him. And yeah, I had really good chemistry with him. We weren't playing our best, in the first few events. But he's kind of like I am, and Darren helped out as well. And we just went back, watched some tape. We stayed in there, relentless, and kept trying to find a winning formula. And it just kind of got better and better. We hit a pretty good stride in New York City and San Clemente in those back to back events, and then it kind of just continued to get better from then on. And yeah, we were playing some really really good men's doubles by the time we got to the playoffs. And yeah, he's been very, very helpful as a teammate as well. Whether it was mixed doubles, he clinched a couple of singles matches for us. So I have a good relationship with him. I have a good relationship with all the teammates, but yeah, it was nice to play with alongside CJ for an Ohio team for sure. I definitely felt the love.
That's awesome. I'd like to move on to the segment of our show that talks about signature shot.
Okay.
And I'm curious if you feel like you have one shot that it's either your best shot, or maybe you do it differently than some of the other pros that you could share with our viewers.
I don't know if I do it different than some of the other pros, but I definitely like to go for the Ernie. I feel like as a tall guy who's still got some good speed left and can jump pretty far. I definitely try to put a lot of pressure on my opponents and try to earn as much as I can and kind of keep that side of the kitchen locked at all times if I can. Prevent them from dinking down the line for the most part and just dinking me out wide over there. You have a very similar body type to mine, so you know how important it is to try to use your length. And the way I execute it, it's not really, once you hit the shot itself is not really the toughest shot. It's just the preparation of it that's very hard. I think the shot before the prior shot goes a long way. If you force your opponent to dink it back up the line, I think that opens up a lot of opportunities. If you force your opponent to kind of pop it up or lift it a little bit, I think that gives you a little bit more time as well to go for it. And then it's just a matter of footwork, taking a little side step to adjust and get yourself pretty close to the sideline, and then just jumping for the most part across and playing with a backhand. But once in a while, if you're really early enough, you can actually come around with the forehand as well and hit it. It's I keep telling people, look, you don't have to have a huge jumping ability. If you really think about it, you can do it even if you walk, across that corner of the kitchen. That's a shot that I think a lot of people could hit and kind of don't do it for whatever reason. I obviously help having some speed and jumping helps because you can get that ball earlier and you can really attack a lot of those drops or dings that maybe weren't that high. But I think it's a shot that everybody can. It looks really cool, but everybody can do it because again, the corner of the kitchen, the way it's set up over there, you can basically just take a regular step across and you're still out of that kitchen. So I think it's important to protect that part of the court. And yeah, I think that will be my signature shot. That's something I've been going for a long time, and I had a lot of success with it.
And I certainly have seen you do it a lot. And I really like your instincts of doing the Ernie, because you can try for the Ernie at the wrong time. And I feel like you instinctively, yes, the setup shot, that allows for that. I just think you're really good at choosing the time to do it. For me, I'm definitely heavier than you, but purposely at the age of 54, I've lost 20 pounds because I want to feel like I can float over to the side rather than walk slowly like a geriatric. I want I want to get in a little
Oh,
bit
of
more
course, it
of
helps. Yeah.
a it helps. So
Yeah.
you're great at that. I'd like to talk about maybe the future of pickleball here for just a bit. Obviously you and I have been at least 10 years, I think we've known each other in the pickleball world. And, what I like is that the game I see breaking down kind of in decades that even at the highest level, you'd be impressed if you were at the NPL championships this past week and the level in year three. I mean, even the pod three players are just unbelievable. But the, do you see a different evolution for professional pickleball versus amateurs and where it is today, or have you even forecasted of what might come to be?
Uh, Look, I think the professional part of the game always feeds into the amateurs. But we obviously we have the ratings out there, and everybody kind of keeps track of that. And at the end of the day, everybody wants to do as good as they can. So even if somebody's an amateur playing at I don't know, let's say 4 or 5 level for now, or 4 level, they're still striving to continue to get better and hopefully get into the ratings that allow them to play pro. And so it definitely it's driven down from the professional level down to to the local tournaments, to the local leagues as well that are based on ratings. So it's competitive because of that. And look, I like you said, I've been around the game for a long time now, and I've seen it transform and become so competitive. There's two major factors that I think go into it. One is it's the equipment for sure. I think like every sport, the equipment will continue to shape the game of pickleball to a certain degree. And then the second factor is just the amount of people that are coming into the game. It's the retention rate for pickleball is still over 90%. There's still more and more people coming into the game. It's not just in the US or North America anymore. Now it's expanding into Asia. I mean, we just had some PPA tour stops over there, and not only had thousands of people in the crowd, but he had like over 1,000 players signed up. Everybody's competing very hard. And look, it's just kind of starting up in Asia. And we know those guys have a good background in racket sports. And I think it's just the beginning. So that's going to continue to make it extremely, extremely competitive. And again, it's going to make it extremely competitive at the top level, at the pro level, but that's going to trigger down and push some of the maybe current pros down to some of the high amateur level and so on and so forth. So it's definitely a ripple effect, and it's going to continue to make it more and more challenging for all the levels, whether you're an amateur or whether you're a pro. But that's also the fun of it. I think that's being competitive about it. It gives you something to work hard for. It gives you something to stay motivated for. So even if you're a 2-5 player who's just starting the game, I think it just gives you a lot of motivation to try to find the best pickleball player in yourself, and you enjoy that journey, and that journey is long. Look, it's gonna take time. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's gonna be a long journey. You're gonna go through some ups and downs, but unless you hang in there for quite a few years to see what your body can do, it's hard to figure out. And I think again the journey is the most fun part of it. It's not just the playing, but you get to travel, you get to meet some really cool people. I got to meet a ton of really, really cool people through my pickleball journeys. You get to go to a lot of different places. Now that it's becoming international, you get to learn about different cultures. So look, I think we're just scratching the surface, and this thing is, it's got to continue to grow really hard in terms of participation. The level is going to get very competitive, more and more competitive as well. The level is already extremely competitive. And that's going to attract more and more sponsors. That's going to attract more and more viewership. So the game is in a very good place, in my opinion, right now.
I know you're a family man and a dad, and I'm curious if you, for your children, will want to see them kind of go after a similar journey.
Yeah, I've got 2 daughters, 6 and 4-year-olds. I definitely want them to play a sport and be serious about it. I've kind of they're still super young, obviously, but I've exposed them to a bunch of different sports, and they'll get to do whatever they like to do. Pickleball was definitely one of them. Tennis was definitely one of them. Had some golf in there, some soccer. little bit of basketball. Just I think it's important to kind of expose into as many sports as possible, and get into to increase their athletic ability through playing all sorts of different sports. I think that's huge at that age. They're way too young to pick a sport and stick with it. But yeah, as they'll get a little bit older, hopefully they'll find some really good enjoyment in one of those sports. And then yes, look, that process of playing, it's as a junior, as a professional, that's gonna teach you a lot of life lessons as well. So it's not just about playing the actual sport. It's a lot of other things you learn through it. And look, I mean, through tennis, obviously I got an opportunity to receive a college scholarship. So there's all sorts of good things that come out of being dedicated and working hard and having a sports career. So I definitely want him to do it. Do I want him to do it in tennis or pickleball again? No, I mean it's whatever they'll like to do. If they decide to do it, I think that'll be great because I can help them a lot. But if they don't, it's their life, their journey, and I'm just along for the ride, trying to help them out.
That's awesome. One last question is that, what would you say the most significant way pickleball has changed your life?
Well, I think the most significant, and that's mostly for me, it gave me a second chance of competing. I really enjoy the competing aspect of it. I loved when I was competing for tennis. I mean, when I was playing pro tennis, and I wasn't really at the highest level where I was making the millions and all that, but I was playing high enough to where I was able to make a decent living and just be able to train and play and give myself a chance to make it to the real pros. I've enjoyed basically every single aspect of it. Maybe not the traveling, but everything else really was a lot of fun. And being able to compete every week and being able to better yourself every week was a great thing for me. And yeah, I had a shoulder injury, and that kind of got taken away from me pretty quickly. And it's hard to go from that kind of lifestyle to now just a regular day to day, and not having to go through that process, and not having an adrenaline rush, and not having to watch some tape and figure out how you can improve. And yeah, pickleball came about 2.5 years after I was done my tennis career, and it just kind of reignited that fire and gave me the opportunity to do what I like again, and feel alive, like just playing those tournaments, watching tape, improving physically, improving mentally. So that's really the biggest impact it had on me. It gave me that second chance at an athletic career. And uh, look, I don't know a lot of the sports that I can play into my 40s. I know this is kind of my last ride of sports, and that's why I'm trying to make the most of it. Just try to push this career as far as I can, and then yeah, then we'll see.
This is pickleball. And to pickleball, I want to say thank you, because I had a very parallel life to what you just described, Andre. And it's 23, coming off the pro tennis tour, doing really well on doubles, on my way to top 100. But my brother asked me to join him at a tennis facility, and I made the tough decision to break away and go into the instruction and marketing and facility connectivity. But to have a senior pro opportunity to make a living and rebirth of that pro desire, pickleball presented that for me too. And so I just want to say thank you to the sport of pickleball, because it really has created so many awesome relationships, but also our journey's not over at 40 or 50 or 60. And to be able to put, extra chapters into your sporting acumen and journey is really, really awesome. And, just in closing, Andre, I want you to know that I have nothing but respect for you. You're a hell of a player. You've been a former opponent. I hope to see you again when you're in the 40s and 50s, and I'll keep watching you. Please, continue being you, an incredible person. And I wish your family the best. And I want to thank the Third Shot Pickleball facility here in Indianapolis for hosting our podcast. And I also want to thank Paddle Is there anybody you'd like to thank?
Well, first of all, thank you for the very very kind words. Like you said, we did battle way back in the day, and it actually got the better of me. So respect for that. And it's great to see you still competing as well, and still going after it, and being motivated, and enjoying the process. I have nothing but respect for you as well. I hope you continue to crush it on the senior pro tour as well. I know the competition is not easy there. These days we have this fun opportunity to play some of the split age events, right? In men's doubles, some mixed doubles as well. So So yeah, I've been playing some of those. I'm actually going to be playing it in November now, coming up at the Worlds in Dallas, with a really good friend of mine, a person I look up to. Somebody who was my Major League Pickleball team owner in the past, Doug Hirsch, who was actually in his 60s himself, and it's kind of like you said, that's what makes pickleball so great. It's just, it gives you the opportunity to find a second win and third win, and just be motivated and keep your body in great shape and keep your mind sharp. And yeah, the game of pickleball is amazing. I also want to thank my sponsors as well. Without them, this wouldn't have been possible, obviously. So Proton for making some amazing paddles and hooking me up with a Flamingo, which I think is a really, really good paddle. My clothing sponsor, Leo Rivera, my shoe sponsor, Mizuno, and to Bell & Al's Country Club out in South Florida for allowing me to train over there and be part of their amazing pickleball community.
That's awesome. Well, you owe me a split age. Remember, you said
Yes,
you would
sir.
do that.
Sir,
So
I
the
remember
next
that one,
one.
but it's still to come. We'll do it,
See you
right?
later. All right. Well, thanks for being on the show, Andrei. Much respect. Good luck to you and your family, and I hope to see you soon.